for joining us today. We have a pretty exciting session this month for anyone that hasn't joined us before and for anyone that has in the past. The strategy this month is a bit different. Typically, we take 3 ISVs. In some cases, they do have some relation to each other. They might support a similar industry. In some cases, they don't. It might be 3 completely different ISVs. Today's session is very much focused around 3 ISVs that work in sync with each other and to really provide what we're seeing as a trend in the manufacturing industry today. So we have with us JAAS Systems, CADTalk, and Savant software. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this session a bit more educational. So we'll walk you through some of the trends that we're seeing in the manufacturing industry today. We'll talk about how we can help these manufacturers start to modernize their infrastructure and how both Acumatica and the ISVs that are presenting here today can help you go to market and to really start to tackle the pain points of those prospects and customers in the manufacturing industry. So the session is being recorded. We'll get it up on the partner portal, and if you do need a copy, that I can always send that to you after the fact as well. And then if you have any questions while the session is taking place, do put those in the chat box as well. We'll save some time at the end of the session today, hopefully, to get those answered live. And then if not, we can always answer them offline here as well. With that being said, I'm going to hand it over to John Schlemmer from JAAS Systems. He's going to be starting us off just with a quick intro, as I said, to the trends that are currently taking place in this industry. So John, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jessica. Good afternoon, everybody. As Jessica said, my name is John Schlemmer. I'm the COO at JAAS Systems, and as Jessica mentioned, there are a bunch of things that are going on in the manufacturing world today. We actually talk to a lot of different people within the industry, not only VARs, but customers, analysts, people in the industry, as to what's going on so that we can better gauge some of the things that we need to do from a development standpoint. So one of the things that's going on right now is a topic called Industry 4.0. Some people have heard of it, some people haven't. We talk about a lot of things that are really comprised into what's called the Industry 4.0. But at the end of the day, manufacturers, they constantly change, and the only ones that are adapting, they're the ones that have this competitive advantage. And how this all really relates is things like software in the cloud, which we all know about with Acumatica, and then that's part of this Industry 4.0. But then on top of that is collaboration, both internally and externally. Hence why we've got our esteemed partners with CADTalk and with Savant software on here. Data analytics and business intelligence are huge within the manufacturing space these days, and there's a growing trend with doing more automation, robotics, and that kind of thing on the floor, and obviously mobile devices, which, you know, if you look at all this, you wrap it all under a nice little thing called Industry 4.0. The subcomponents are things that we talk about to prospects and customers every day. So software in the cloud, the Aberdeen group has done a lot of studies on this, but the benefits of using SaaS versus on-prem, you get a lot of improvements in inventory turns, operational costs, and administrative costs, reduction of inventory, and this is more on the supply chain side, which Savant software definitely helps with within the distribution piece. From an Industry 4.0, like I said, a lot of people may or may not have heard of this phrase, but it's not just a flashy catchphrase anymore. It's hugely prevalent in Europe and in Asia, and it's getting more and more prevalent here in the US as a phrase within the industry. But it's basically just the digitization of the manufacturing sector, which is driven by these 4 disruptors, which we continue to talk about or you've heard about. You know, human-machine interfaces, which is really the Internet of Things. It's a great buzzword. There's some people that are doing it. Some people think they're doing it. Other people have heard about it. Some people don't know what it is. You know, data analytics is another big one. You know, the more data that you can accomplish and get into your system, the more you can actually make better decisions with that data. Same thing with business intelligence. And then again, the automation piece is starting to become more prevalent in the manufacturing floors. So I want to touch a little bit on each one of these. But the Internet of Things, what is it? It's anything that you're going to be able to connect. A lot of people think that this is just for machines on the floor into an ERP system. That's one of many things. But it could be based on apps. It could be different connected products. It could be EDI. It could be a lot of different things. Some of the people that are using it, General Electric is somebody that's a huge proponent to this, but there's also much smaller companies that are utilizing little portions of this. Now, there are some barriers to this. A lot of people will ask that they're doing an IoT implementation, but then nobody's in charge of it, or the wrong people may be in charge of it. And security is obviously a big issue, especially with the recent hacking that's been going on. A lot of people are a little nervous about having everything in the cloud and security provided by different systems integrating with different systems in a multi-cloud environment. Data analytics is really reshaping manufacturing. A lot of manufacturers say that this is their highest priority, mainly because with more information they can make more improved decisions, and which then boosts their business operations and their profitability. It also increases their product quality, as well as doing their equipment performance. So the more that we can create dashboards and things of that nature in order to get them their information in a more easily viewed scenario, then the better that they're going to be. From an automation standpoint, this is being really impacted in Asia. There's a lot of robotics over in Asia. There's a lot of robotics in the US too. A lot of the automotive industry uses robotics. A lot of people think that this is to replace our labor force, but a lot of times what happens is the companies that will put automation and robotics in, they actually just repurpose those employees that they've replaced with the automation, and they get more efficient and more effective. The big thing is it improves the worker safety and product quality. Worker safety in certain instances where you've got punch presses, an example, where you've got a robot doing it, you have less safety hazards and things of that nature. But one of the big things that people look at is the cost of doing the robotics. But the real key is some people are avoiding the high cost by not doing the automation. Mobile devices are everywhere. With Acumatica's mobile platform, it makes it a lot easier for us as ISVs or software developers to do. I think you'll be able to see a little bit with Savant with the mobile app as well. But some of the things that are going on, we've got a product configurator that people actually are utilizing. The salespeople have tablets, phones, and they can actually go out on site, step through the configuration with the prospect or the customer, and they actually can create a build-to-order product that the customer says, yes, that's good, I'm ready to do that. Inventory is another good use for mobile, as well as the whole field service with Acumatica now as well. So basically, just to sum this up, the Industry 4.0 is a lot of things, but it's a lot of things that we talk about, to customers each and every day. Software in the cloud, the Internet of Things, automation, data analytics, and mobile devices. So all of that rolls up into this new term, which is Industry 4.0. And one of the things that I've talked to Gartner at length, one of the things that they always say is they see a lot of companies that focus on one or more of these trends, but it's when they converge that it becomes very interesting. So we actually have a few customers that are actually doing all of this right now, and we've got a handful of customers that are doing one or the other. But it is fascinating for me just to see when everybody is doing, or when the company is doing all of these things. It is very interesting because they're much more efficient and then much more profitable within that. So one of the things that we wanted to show you, we spent a little bit of time talking about how this would be much more effective. And one of the things that we wanted to do was kind of give you a solution of how we can accomplish this. So within Acumatica's distribution suite, which is where the inventory, sales order, and purchasing is, this is what we're going to show today, where we've got stock items, sales orders, and purchase orders. our product is integrated with the bill of material, and the production side of our product is integrated into all of these as well. And then we're going to have Scott Brickler from Solutions X show the CADTalk, which is really where it's going to start. So we're going to be able to import CAD drawings, create stock items automatically within Acumatica, which then we can create a bill of material within JAAS at that same time. Then I'm going to take the controls back and just kind of step through a little bit and show where that got created. Go ahead and create a production order, and then I'll show the labor, the move, and the material screens, but I'm not going to do any transactions because our colleagues from Savant will actually go in and process that order in a data collection manner. At which point in time it gets completed, it gets put back into inventory, at which point in time now we can pick, pack, and ship it. So that's kind of how we're going to proceed with this. And then at the end, when we get through all this, we'll probably have time for some questions, or if there aren't any questions, or if we need to get into a much more detailed session on our products, because I can tell you each one of us could spend hours to show you our product. So this is not going to be a full-fledged demo. It's just kind of going to give you an idea of the solution and the power of the integration between all of us. But if at the end there's no questions, we can give you back some time in your day. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Scott Brickler with Solutions X so that he can show the CADTalk integration.
Thank you very much, John. Scott, I just made you the presenter, and I can now see your screen.
Great. Well, thank you, John, for the introduction. Like I said, my name is Scott Brickler. I'm the product manager for CADTalk, and essentially our role in this workflow is to go from the engineering side to the manufacturing side. So CADTalk is a tool that is used to extract all of the data that was created from your design engineers, or maybe even your customers. So we can actually read CAD, all the major CAD file formats like SolidWorks and Adventure or AutoCAD, pull the data out of those file formats. We actually can do that without requiring any CAD software to be installed. We can actually directly read all of those formats. And what we're doing is we're pulling all the data out and we're transforming it into Acumatica format. And then we're presenting it in our interface. Users can then make any edits they want to that bill or any additional changes. And then once we hit save, we're actually going to create all of the Acumatica stock items as well as the bills of material ready to go for manufacturing. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in one or probably at least one, maybe two assemblies, one from Adventure, one from SolidWorks. And then let John take it from there to the rest of the manufacturing. Okay. So if you see my screen, okay, I'm actually going to start off with a SolidWorks assembly, which is this gear assembly that you see here. And all I've got to do is literally open up the solid model from SolidWorks. It's going to ask me which version of this model that I want to use, which kind of configuration, basically. I pick which one I like. So what's happening is it's actually extracting all the data out of the model. It's also looking at Acumatica to make sure that if any of these parts or bills of materials already exist. And then it's actually resolving any differences and doing any comparisons and resolving all of that. So what I see, if I expand this bill at the end, is actually the bill of material as it would look in Acumatica. Okay, so this is the top level item. This is an operation to assemble it. And these are subcomponents here. We also have operations under those. Once I'm inside of here, I have editing ability to make any changes that I need to make, like descriptions or other fields that are in stock codes, that are in stock items or operations or bill of materials. And all the drop-down lists and all of the things, like we all work just like they would in Acumatica for the same screen. And we also have the same validation to make sure that all the data is correct before it goes in. So once everything is the way that I want it to be, all I've got to do is hit the Save button, and it'll actually create any new items, stock items that need to be created in Acumatica. If there was any existing items, it would update those. And it'll also create the fully indented bill of material inside of Acumatica ready for manufacturing. So the idea is that we can go from literally nothing in Acumatica, just a design from the engineering side, to creating all the stock items and the bills within a few minutes, and so you can actually start making something on the shop floor. So typically, if you think of a typical process with this, an engineer would finish up a design, hand a drawing over to somebody who would manually type all this data in. So even a bill of material this size could take somebody upwards of an hour maybe to enter in completely, or maybe 30, 45 minutes at least. We have customers who push in thousands of parts at a time, and we're able to do it very, very quickly, where that would typically take several days. So that's already done. We've created all 3 items in Acumatica, all of these items in Acumatica, as well as the fully indented bill of materials ready to go. And that's actually, John's going to use the same assembly to go through and do the rest of the manufacturing. So, that was the process for SolidWorks. I'm going to show a slightly different one for Inventor, and then I'm going to hand it back over to John. But the process is very similar. Before I opened up SolidWorks, this time I'm just going to open an Inventor file. I'm going to grab another one called Clutch Bell. The Clutch Bell actually looks like this. Okay, this is the clutch assembly here. I'm going to open that up. Same thing. It's going to run through, pull all the data out of the model, compare it against anything that's currently in Acumatica, and then present it to me in the interface. You see here, I've got a little more work to do, but I can actually, it's telling me about any errors or things I got to fix. I got to give this a warehouse. I can click on the warehouse, hit the drop down, just and see all the warehouse in Acumatica, select which one I want, and the errors go away. So just like I did for SolidWorks, once I have everything the way I like it, it'll validate completely. I'm picking the Work Center now. And then now I can hit save, and it'll actually create everything in Acumatica just like I did on the previous one. So that was both SolidWorks and Inventor. And then just for the brevity of my presentation, you can see how fast all that is, bringing it from one side to the other. And we actually can write data back into the models, into the CAD side as well. So our integration is bidirectional. But we do that. It's pretty advanced how we do that. But if anybody's interested in that, we can go into more detail, maybe into questions or a separate demo. But I'll go ahead and hand it over to John and let him take this the rest of the way through manufacturing.
Thanks, Scott. So basically what happened was Scott actually created a CAD drawing. He actually imported it and created the items within Acumatica automatically, and then automatically created this bill of material. So, and actually he created a multi-level bill. So if you notice within our bill of material, here's the operation that he put it in, the 2 materials, which are actually sub-assemblies that he needed to go ahead and create. We've actually, got the cost and everything in here. So here's the second one that he actually created. So this one was a sub-assembly for the prop shaft, and then the sub-assembly for the spur gear that he brought in. And so all of these are now within my bill of material. From here, I can actually go out and create forecasts. I can create sales orders. So what I've done, I went ahead and I created a sales order for the end item, the propeller shaft. Now, there's a couple things you can do here within JAAS and Acumatica to where you can actually go out and create a production order directly from the sales order, and then you would have that linkage, which is what I did. If I wanted MRP to plan this, I just would leave it alone, put in the demand, because you can see I've got 1 available, but if I came in and said that I wanted to build 2 or 5, MRP would pick that up and automatically create a new production order. Now I could just actually hyperlink directly in here. So this is the production order that I created. You'll notice that I've got 1 to produce. I need to finish it on here based on what my date that I need to ship it on. From a references standpoint, it's tied directly to this customer sales order and sales order line item. And then any event history, I've created this particular sales order, and then I went in and I changed the status from planned to release so that we can actually go ahead and operate this. And then I've got my planned cost associated with how to build this. So once I've done that and I go over here into the production side, we'll go pick the same one. So if I look at the last one that I was just doing, this is the one that we've been working on. So this is the same references and everything that I just showed you in the pop-up window. And once it's released, it is now available to have transactions applied against it. So these could be any of these transactions, whether it be labor, whether it be if you're backflushing things, whether it's a move transaction. I can issue materials or backflush materials. So I'm going to just show you these screens, but these are screens from a labor standpoint. So if you're going to collect direct labor by employee, by production order, you would do a labor transaction. And we can do both direct and indirect. This is for the production order, and then which operation I'm working, what the employee is. We do handle multiple shifts as well, and then you can do either start and end time, or you can put in total labor hours, and then what the quantity that I completed and anything that I scrapped associated with this. So that's an example of a labor screen, and these are all barcodable, if that's a word, but Diane is going to actually show how these transactions work from a data collection standpoint here in a minute. The move transaction is basically just collecting production information. So I'm not going to record direct labor against a production order. I'm going to use a standard off my work center. I'm going to backflush the completion of that operation to move it, and all I want to do is record production. So a similar process, just without the employee. So I'm going to have a production order number that I'm going to be able to scan. It's going to have the operation that I'm going to scan, how many I put into inventory, if there's or how many I've completed, sorry. If there is a lot or serial number attached to this, you're going to be able to scan that as well. We do handle expiration dates within lot and serial and full traceability within lot serial control. From a material issue standpoint, again, it's a barcode screen to where you can just scan, this is the item I'm going to pick out of inventory and take to the production side. And again, very similar, you're going to scan the production order number, the operation, the inventory ID, and then the quantity that you're going to be picking. We'll apply all of that cost, and then that goes to the production order. So with that, I'm going to pass it back over to Diane so she can show you these transactions on this particular order.
All right, great. My name is Diane Colley, and I'm from Savant Software. We've been doing warehouse management systems for a long time, since probably about 1995. And we started out doing a lot of food and beverage type of applications, and then moved into other areas. So we've pretty much covered bases from manufacturing and very large companies that do a lot of distribution, like Hello Kitty or Sierra Nevada Brewing, some very large operations, as well as some very small customers that only have 2 or 3 guys in the warehouse. So the software is very flexible as far as handling different types of workflows. What we're going to show today is just going to be straightforward process here for getting the items that are required for the particular production order onto the production line, and then receiving in the finished item when the production is finished. So there's a lot more that can be done, but given time constraints, that's what we're going to focus on today. All right, so what we're looking at here is on the Savant side, from the warehouse's point of view, we have various orders that need to be processed. We've got sales orders, we've got production orders, and they have different type codes and they have different workflows associated, but they're all indicative of work that needs to be done. So what we're going to start with here is going into our handheld device or scanner application, which is basically, a URL that will be hit to a mobile device. There are probably 40, 50 different versions of mobile devices out there, various manufacturers. It could be a tablet, could be a handheld, could be a cell phone type of device. There's a lot of different options there. But once you're in that device, you have lots of different options. As you can see here on the screen, there are many different things that can be done. First of all, let's talk about getting the picking going here for the component parts. So here we're going to go ahead and log in, and then we're going to go to our picking option, and we start by scanning the barcode that is our production order, which I've got this production order 48, and it's going to walk me through all of the items that are required for this particular production order. and have me pick them off the shelf. So I've put some out here in different bin locations. You can see this A01A1, and so the warehouse person will just go to that location and scan it. The idea would be that you've got a barcode on every bin location, and then they would scan the barcode of the item number, and then they would confirm the quantity that they're going to pick. In real life, it's probably going to be more than one, but in our example, we only need one. And now it's going to move us on to the next one, where we've got another shelf, B01A. And if I happen to make a mistake, and this is a very operational kind of thing, the whole point is, where is my inventory so I don't have to go hunt for it, and how can I keep people from making mistakes and pulling the wrong products to be taken to the line. So if I happen to scan the wrong location, the scanner will beep at me and give me a lot of red telling me that I've done it incorrectly, and then I can go back and scan the right one. It then lets me move on. If I want to scan the item number and I happen to scan the wrong item, again, invalid. So hopefully we're saving some people from having to do rework here. Get the right item, and then it moves on, and then we can pick our balance, and if we happen to say that we're pulling too many, it will also stop us in that respect. Now there are options where you can allow people to pull more than what was requested. That's a setting that you can do in the system. But for us, we're going to be exact, and we got our second item, and now that particular work order or production order is ready to go. All right, so we've got the inventory moved, and what that will do, depending on how you have the JAM side set up, it will send out that materials transaction, so it will deduct and assign that to work in process on that production order. So now some time passes, we get this manufacturing completed, and we need to get that received into finished goods. So there's probably a different person going to be doing this in the warehouse, but they would go to the receive production option. And put in the manufacturing order, production order they're working on. It will then have a default location as to where it gets received into. This can be configured. And then they choose what item. Of course, there's only one on a production order. And then they would say, okay, I'm going to receive one, or whatever the quantity is. And this is an area where there are a lot of options as well. Many times the large production run, you're going to have cases and cases, potentially pallets and pallets of finished goods, and you can receive them in one pallet at a time or one box at a time, depending on the quantity. And that may take, all day to finish your production run, but you're capturing those finished good receipts in real time as they're coming off the line. You don't have to wait until the end. All right, so there's our one, and we've got it fully received. So that's the handheld side of things. When we go then to take a look at our location for our finished goods, we can see that we've got this one we just received with today's date, sitting there on the actual inventory floor, and now it's ready to be picked on a sales order potentially and just shipped right out right away. So again, we can do that with the handheld device. You can just go right back into picking, and instead of picking the manufacturing order, you go and pick the sales order, and you would pick it straight off the line, or you could move the inventory to another area in the warehouse for the actual picking to take place. So that's another discussion as far as how you want to handle your outbound shipments and things like that. But the system is absolutely capable of doing that. And then it will show the different statuses as you're moving through the process. So you notice I just refreshed here, and my manufacturing type of order is now gone. That's because it's completed. So the warehouse people only have to worry about what is currently open and needing to be processed. All right, so the receipt that we did generates a move transaction back on the JAM side of the house. So I think what I'll do here is just turn this back over to John and let him walk through that.
All right, thanks, Diane. So basically, what Diane just did, she did this move in material transactions directly from a handheld. And so if I look at my event history, these are the transactions that she just did and created these move transactions. And actually, then if I look at each one of these move transactions, basically this is what she did on a handheld as opposed to somebody coming in and doing it on the system. At this point in time, this particular production order got completed, and as Diane said, she moved it into inventory. So it actually went back into inventory in my stock items screen. So if I find my Z, into here, at which point in time I could see my warehouse details. I've now got 3 in stock, where I only had the 1, if you remember when we were looking at the sales order. At this point in time, now we can go out and ship it, as Diane said, through the sales order process, and at this point in time, this one is complete. From the manufacturing side, once I'm done with this and it's completed, at this point in time, I can close this. As far as production is concerned, this is gone. I've finished it. As far as accounting is concerned, they would go through and do a close process, which would actually physically close the order. A couple steps that we kind of didn't really show just due to time constraints is the whole MRP process. You know, within the manufacturing, we also do a few other things as far as estimating and product configuration. But the whole concept of today was really just to show you the complete integration of a new connected manufacturing solution that can be applied in conjunction with the entire Acumatica platform. So that was the intent, that was the idea. I hope that you guys actually saw the power of being able to bring in a CAD drawing into the manufacturing, go out and produce that, utilize data collection out on the shop floor, complete it via data collection, put it into inventory, take it from inventory and go ahead and ship it. And, you know, as Diane may have mentioned or didn't, they also can handle the entire process from receipt and then directed put away into inventory, and then that's really where we pick the process up of putting it onto the production order and then going through that. So there's additional capabilities on the distribution side with Savant as well. So with that, Jessica, I will turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, John. And I actually am taking a look at the questions that came in, and it turns out there are actually no questions that I see right now, just a lot of great feedback and a lot of people praising the content that we are seeing here today as just something that is very easy to understand and also very easy to grasp for prospects, and something that will be kind of speaking for itself when you go out there and begin to sell this solution as a whole. So I see people saying great diagram, great process walkthrough, excellent job, very smooth presentation. So I appreciate everyone's time on that. If you do have any questions for anyone that's still on the line, feel free to get those in while we do have all of the ISV experts with us today. I'll give it a minute or so, and then if nothing else comes in, we'll give you back some time in your Friday here. All right, I'm not seeing anything, but I believe everyone should have my email address, and if not, I will put it in the chat box, so feel free to follow up with me if you do have any questions that come up after this call. Actually, we did have a few questions coming in. Let's see, the visual production scheduling solution, has that been planned yet?
I guess I'll take that one. Yeah, there is a couple issues with visual, with a drag and drop control that we're actually working on. My director of development is working in conjunction with Acumatica to get that done. He's actually going to be in Montreal in a couple weeks to do that. As far as the advanced planning and scheduling module that is due to be released in version 6. We're going to officially release it with 2017 R2, but it's going to be put into production on the 6.1 platform in July.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Don't know if that answered the question, but
I believe you did, but if not, I'll let that person speak for themselves and put a response back in. Someone also asked about if there's a NetStock integration, if these three solutions would also work in conjunction with NetStock.
I'll take that one as well, I guess. And if, I guess I should say this, if there's any more detail that you want, I mean, feel free to contact Jessica or contact me directly on that as well. As far as NetStock, we have had those discussions. Nothing has been done as of this point in time. One of the differences is within our forecasting, we only do one algorithm, which basically deals with sales history. If you need additional sales algorithm or additional algorithms such as trend analysis, exponential smoothing, all the things that NetStock does extremely well, then you would have to look at that. But we have been having discussions as far as an integration with NetStock.
Awesome. Along those same lines, how about a shipping integration? Either if that be AccuShip or Starship or any shipping integrations that exist today.
Well, I'll handle that one. Actually, you can use any of those if you'd like because they integrate into Acumatica, but Savant in and of itself has its own shipping manifest module that can be used as well that will do UPS, FedEx, U.S. Postal Service, and it will also do LTL, bills of lading, things like that. So you could just keep it all within the same set of software and just use the Savant side of it. And then those tracking numbers as they're generated, we'll print the labels and do all the communications to the carrier and then send that back as part of the shipment record so that you'll have that on the Acumatica side, for customer service to look at.
Perfect. Thank you, Diane. I'm glad a number more questions came in, but one of them was about contact information. I just wanted to share that with everyone on the line today because several people did ask for the contact information of the three presenters today. Another question that a few people asked was about a recording of the session. The way that it usually works is if you don't mind just sending me an email directly, and actually let me put my email on this list really quick for anybody that doesn't have it. Please reach out to me directly if you would like a copy of this recording, or it will also be up on the partner portal. For some reason, GoToWebinar gives us kind of a funky error where we can't send an automatic email to everybody with their recording because this is a recurring session. So just please make sure to either reach out to me directly and I can send you the email, or go check up on the partner portal after today's session and it will also be there for you. I'll give everyone maybe 30 more seconds for any additional questions, and if not, then we will get back to our Fridays here. I'm going to pull back my question box one more time just to check it. Let's see. I think we're good. All right. I will just finish the session here by leaving this contact information with you. Feel free to email any of us for questions, particularly me for the recording. And one more time, just thank you for your time on this Friday. And we're excited to help these manufacturers and distributors start to modernize their infrastructure. So reach out with any questions that you might have, and we'll provide some resources to go to market with this. Thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thanks.
Thank you.